Alright, Teddy, so for this one, we're going to be doing our movement story. And our story is the pickle who took a trip. But first, we need to make sure that we're in a big, wide open room, alright? We want to make sure we don't want to hit into anything or hurt ourselves because we're going to be moving around a lot for this, alright? So, in the beginning, there was a pickle who decided to take a trip, alright? So, he got a suitcase, packed everything in his suitcase, and started to walk. He walked up to a cave and went, that cave looks like it should be explored. So the pickle started going in the cave and reaching around. The cave starts to get lower and lower and lower, right? And it got so low that the pickle had to get on the ground and start to crawl all the way until he got to the opening. The pickle then had to squeeze through the opening, but then it was all black and he bumped into something, right? It was very squishy and slimy and everything like that, right? So the pickle then touched it with his hand, touched it with his foot, and then he touched it with his head. And then he ripped off a piece of the object and realized it was a big giant marshmallow. All right, so he stood all the way up on the tippy top of his toes out, and he could just see a big field of big marshmallows. So he began to jump, he began to leap all over the giant marshmallows until he got very, very tired. So the pickle got down on the ground and almost was about to take a nap. But then, right when he was about to fall asleep, he looked up and the giant marshmallows were starting to float away. And he goes, "Hey, wait for me." Can you yell to the big marshmallows? "Hey, wait for me." All right, so he then jumps up and grabs onto the big marshmallows, all right? And they float forwards, they float backwards, they float left, they float right, and then they float in circles and circles, all the way to a place called Slitherland. And in Slitherland, there's a bunch of slimy creatures such as snakes and everything like that. But can you tell me which one of these is a big snake and which one's a small snake? Good job. All right, so the pickle got down right on the ground with the snakes and started to roll, started to slither with the snakes until out of nowhere, all the snakes went to the holes out of nowhere, and out came these little bubbles, all right? And the pickle had to tiptoe around so he wouldn't pop any, but all of a sudden, pop, 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 all the balloons, all the bubbles started to pop, and then, which made the big giant marshmallows start to float away again. And can you do it with me? Can we yell to the big marshmallow, "Hey, wait for me"? All right, so the pickle jumps up, grabs onto the big marshmallows again, and one more time they floated forwards, backwards, sideways, and round, all the way to the pickle's house. And once the pickle realized that his house was right below them, he let go, floated to the ground all the way, and then he rolled all the way into bed and fell asleep. And that's the end of the story. Great job, Teddy.